Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about something that is definitely in the news, and that is the tariffs that the United States is putting out there. Because I happened to notice something that really kind of surprised me while I was studying the charts for the future and events. And I came upon this and I thought, I have to share this with everyone because a lot of people are thinking these tariffs are a really bad idea and that they're going to cause a recession and problems with the economy worldwide. So let me show you what I'm seeing astrologically based on the charts, aside from what anyone may be saying in the news. I've got some answers. And I promise you, the astrology's never lied to me. So a lot of you may not like what I have to say, mainly because there's so many people that have differences of opinion, let me put it this way, than Donald Trump, President Trump. And I just want to show you, based on the charts, what I'm seeing. And hey, we all got to say this. We all want what's best for everyone around the world. We do. We all want good for everyone. At least I do. And I think you're the same if you're watching this. So let's get going. Before I start, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter. Go to galacticcenter.org. There you can sign up for my free newsletter and you get all of my predictions weekly delivered to your email address free. You should do this. It's a great idea. And furthermore, while you're at my galacticcenter.org website, check out my Patreon. Become part of our spiritual community. I will get to know you personally. It's an amazing way to connect with like-minded people. Furthermore, my galactic planner. I know you're tired of me talking about it, but if you haven't tried it, you have no idea what a great thing it is. And I want to remind you to give it a try. It will take your birth chart, give you all your personal predictions, and it will be put into your calendar, which means you'll be guided by the stars every day. This is such a great advantage. Try it out. Go to galacticplanner.com. Now, let me get going, and I'm going to put up some charts for you. So, first of all, let me put up the chart for the United States of America. And looking at this chart, I want you to focus in on where all the planets are in the sign of Gemini. Gemini, it has 4 planets there: Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and the Sun. And here's what's really kind of cool about it. The fact that Jupiter has just come into Gemini, or it's about to go into Gemini, depending on when this airs. So Jupiter's going to go into Gemini May 14th. And I hope this airs way before then, because I want you to get a feel of what's about to transpire. So looking at this, Jupiter goes into Gemini. It will stay there for about a year. It's going to actually, October 18th to December 5th, it's going to go into Cancer very briefly, and then it retrogrades back into Gemini. And it will be in Gemini again from December 5th, 2025 till June 1st of 2026. So we've got really about a year, if you just, exclude that little jaunt that it makes into Cancer for a short time, but for about a year. So let's just say from May of 2025 to June of 2026. For the most part, Jupiter remains in the sign of Gemini. Let me tell you what Gemini's all about. Gemini's about communications. Gemini's about education. It's about learning. It's about traveling. It is ruled by Mercury, which is the messenger, And Mercury deals with, you know, the word mercantile came from the word, mercantile comes from Mercury because it deals with trade, it deals with sales, it deals with how we communicate and sell our products. And guess what? Jupiter being in Gemini will improve this. Jupiter is a planet of opportunities, expansion, wealth. Everything when Jupiter is in its sign deals with expanding things. And in this sign, it will expand what it's dealing with. And the good news too is Jupiter is by itself in this sign. It's not contaminated by Rahu or Ketu or Saturn or other planets. It's clearly on its own the whole time it stands in Gemini. This is extremely positive and optimistic. And so therefore, with it crossing over all these planets in the United States chart, I think this is fantastic. Now, I will say this though, during the summer months ahead, when we have Mars go into Leo, and we have Ketu in Leo, we're going to have some major problems and outbursts, war and fighting and difficult things, fire, very difficult. And that will be June and July. And another thing I noticed while Jupiter is in Gemini, it's going to be in the nakshatra, basically the months of June and July. It's going to be in the nakshatra called Ardra. And Ardra is the nakshatra that deals with heavy storms and sadness. It's ruled by the god Rudra, which rules the howling storms. So it can deal with severe, dangerous weather too. But it also deals with, storms figuratively. Now, it's just that Mars and Ketu coming together, that can deal with terrorism and attacks, but Jupiter being in Ardra can as well. And like I said, it's interesting that Jupiter will be in Ardra the same time that Mars and Ketu are coming together. These are the months of June and July. But come into the month of August, we have Jupiter is going to enter into the nakshatra called Purnavasu. And that means the return of the light. And it's very symbolic. After the storms comes a sunny day. And so I think after we get through these 2 months, something incredible will prevail. But now I want to pull up the chart of Donald Trump. I know you guys are sick of seeing these charts, but like I say, I have got to show the charts of the world leaders in order to be able to make my predictions. So of any country, and this is what I see. So if you will look at the United States chart, notice where natal Jupiter is. It sits at 15 degrees of Gemini, okay? And what I am seeing is, look at Donald Trump's chart. His Mercury sits at 15 degrees of Gemini. And I have made note of this many times. When you see somebody running for president and they happen to have planets that connect to the country's charts within a degree, then that means they will have an effect on that country, therefore will probably be elected into office. I have done this my whole life and it works explicitly well. So, you know, when I looked at the United States chart and I noticed that Trump had his Mercury on the United States Jupiter, I thought, that's interesting. There's a connection. And then I also noticed that his Jupiter at 24 degrees of Virgo connects to Saturn in the 10th house of the government. So his Jupiter is on the United States Saturn, and his Mercury is on the United States Jupiter. Now let me explain, or vice versa. So here's what I want to explain. Remember what I told you about Mercury ruling Gemini, and that Mercury rules trade and sales? Well, it actually rules tariffs. I was kind of flabbergasted when I realized this. So here is the thing. Trump's Mercury sits on the United States Jupiter, and Mercury rules tariffs, and Mercury Jupiter is extraordinarily positive. Amongst all the ranting and raving about what a bad situation this is by half the people in the world or more, I see astrologically it's going to work out. I was kind of surprised to see this myself, because not only because his Mercury sits on the United States Jupiter, or the United States Jupiter sits on his Mercury in the 11th house, which is the house of great gains. Transiting Jupiter is going to conjunct this 15-degree Gemini point. And this is something colossal and healing about to take place. And I am going to look up when, in my trusty ephemeris of where all the planets are, when will transiting Jupiter conjunct the Jupiter in the United States chart and Donald Trump's Mercury in his chart? So that means when transiting Jupiter is 15 degrees of Gemini. And I'm looking this up right now, and it is around July 20th through July 26th. Now I happen to notice that July 20th is also when Mars and Ketu will come together at 25 degrees of Leo. There is so much happening then, but here is what I do see. These trade wars, whatever you may call them, is going to affect the United States in a very positive way. Mark my words. Now, once this goes into effect, things are going to happen quite quickly. So I'm looking at that July date. Then Jupiter will continue on its transit to hit the Sun in the United States chart. And that should be in August. In August, when will Jupiter conjoin the Sun? Which is 22 degrees, and that will be, yes, around the end of August. The last week of August. It will actually be around August 22nd through August 29th. Jupiter will be on the United States Sun, and that is opportunity, progress, expansion. Good things are finally coming through. And remember what I said, Jupiter will then be transiting in the nakshatra Purnavasu. Notice the Sun. Next to the planets, I have the abbreviations for the nakshatras. That's Purnavasu, P-U-N. And I promise you, by the time Jupiter does hit into Cancer, and it does remain there, there will be some amazing advancements, especially in the financial markets. So what do I say about the stock market and the economy? It's going to be booming by around June, July of 2026. So guys, prepare and get ready now for what's to come. So I thought I might show you somebody else's chart in this that could have a major effect on what's going on. So now let's put up the chart of China as well as Xi Jinping, because I find it fascinating that the charts are correlating to these, I'm going to say, tariff or the wars, these tariff wars that are going to ensue, particularly with the United States and China. China's not going to back down, but things are going to be worked out. I'll tell you why. Well, first of all, I know that looking at his chart, he's got quite a number of planets in Gemini. So he has his Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Uranus. And I find it fascinating that his Uranus sits almost exactly on the United States Sun. That is at 22 degrees of Gemini. And we've got Jupiter going through his 12th house. And the 12th house, by the way, has to deal with foreign lands and countries. But Jupiter's there. And it's good for him as well as for the United States. Things are going to work out. Look at his Mercury. His Mercury sits at 21 degrees, which is almost exactly in the United States Sun. I think things are going to work out. So another thing is that currently, right now as I speak, which I'm still in April right now, transiting Mars is still in Pisces. I'm sorry, transiting Mars is in Cancer. And with transiting Mars being in Cancer right now, look at where it's crossing over, and actually throughout the month of May too. So actually Mars will be in Cancer till the first week of June. And Mars being crossing over his Ketu, his natal moon, his ascendant, and even Pluto, he's angry. He's angry right now. And he's upset. There are major issues and problems, especially right now, because Mars has just entered into Cancer again. So as it transits through the sign, it's causing an uproar with him. But by the time Jupiter goes into Gemini, which isn't till May 14th, that's where things are going to have to be worked out. Yeah, he's going to be resistant. He's going to fight. But there's going to be resolution that has to be made. In other words, they're going to come to the tables and they're going to work it out. They're going to negotiate. They have to. Because of Jupiter being in Gemini. So even when I pull up the chart for China, the country's chart, what you're going to find is that there's so many connections between the United States and China. One that I don't particularly care for is the fact that if you'll look at China's Ketu, it sits on the United States Saturn, 23, 24 degrees of Virgo. So China's been a problem to the United States, a big problem, and they will continue to be. But when it comes to these trade wars, things have got to be worked out. Because really, you know, this is smart. I'll tell you why. Because money really does control things. Not blowing up places or people or ruining lives. Money talks, and this is what is at stake here. Money. And it's so much better than killing people, than wars. These trade wars are going to probably have a major effect on world war. That's what I'm getting at. We're thinking it's just about the money, but it's actually going to bring the world together. Didn't even think of it like that when I first started to look at these charts, but it's true. You'll see the astrology doesn't lie. So looking at this, I'm seeing so many things change. And you know, China is going to try to take over Taiwan. I just kind of looked at the charts. But you know what? With the trade wars and the money, they're going to have to change. Because the money is what really motivates these world leaders, because money is control and power. And that's what's going to be happening. So Jupiter in Gemini came right at the right time, dealing with trades and communications. Actually, can't believe it, but it rules tariffs. And it's activating not only the United States chart and Donald Trump's chart, but Xi Jinping. And it's going to bring negotiations after, you know, a period, probably the summer months. China's going to retaliate, absolutely. But what they're going to find is they got to give in. And that's what's going to happen. A major healing. Yeah, after a crisis, I get it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. We're going to have to go through something to get there. But we're going to get there. And I would think that this video, no matter if you like any of the people in charge, the world leaders, should be good news, because the world's going to be a better place to live, and we're going to come together in some way. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, you've got to want the world to come together, be at peace, and be prosperous and productive again. And I see that coming about. It's got to give it some time, but the astrology's telling me something that I actually did not expect to see, listening to all the authorities on the news. I didn't expect to see this, but I got to say, there's going to be a big trend of peace coming through the coming together and working together with all the countries on the financial basis of how we trade and interact and actually help each other. That's what it will be about. So with that, I think I'll close. I hope that you enjoyed this video and it gives you a sense of peace about where the world is headed. So with that, if you would like more information on me, you can always go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and sign up for my free newsletter, my Patreon, and Galactic Planner. But don't forget, if this has inspired you to learn more about Vedic astrology, I have the most amazing school out there. I have students in every corner of the globe and come together and be part of an astrological community. That's truly what it is. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.